I'm just going to go over a couple of housekeeping, usual stuff. Feel free to turn off your video, keep it on. Introvert friendly here. We love seeing your faces and also want you to be comfortable so that you can be actively engaged. To help keep background noise down, if we can have everybody put their mute on unless they're actively speaking, that would be fantastic. There is going to be designated Q&A time. And you can, if you want to save your question, you're worried about forgetting it, pop it in the chat, and we'll try to get to all the questions appropriately. Again, we are recording this and it will be available for view, likely online for public viewing. And then again, use that chat box. It's our friend. Add your questions. If you need to reach out to Madeline, you're having tech difficulties, you can do that there as well. And then we are going to have just a quick little thank you for our sponsors. Oregon Department of Agriculture is our annual meeting sponsor this year, and the Beaverton Farmers Market. And we just thank them so much. They're always so generous with their time, energy, support, and financial funding, and we appreciate that. So thank you, both of those sponsors this year. And then we're going to have Anna lead us through our little icebreaker brag basket and go over some agenda items for us. So Anna, take it away.
Yeah, so y'all that have been on an annual meeting before are familiar with this. It's one of our favorite parts of the annual meeting, and it's our brag basket. What is something that you are proud of? It could be big, it could be small, but something you're proud of from this last season. And if you want to go ahead and drop it into the chat, I will kind of monitor and read some of them out loud as we go. And we should also say that you guys are our biggest brag basket. We brag about our member markets all the time. So thank you. We think you're all wonderful. But go ahead and pop some things into the chat. What are you proud of from the last season? Even if it's just that you made it through the season. So Karen Carroll said a POP program, Pop to Go, was great. I know a lot of folks switched to navigate that through COVID. Ginger survived the season. Amen to that. Molly from FMF, it was the biggest year in the history of Double Up food bucks. I think we can all round of applause for that one. We all benefit from that. Branding, refresh, yeah, just generally having successful markets considering the last 2 years that we have had. We've got a couple of new market managers. Good job. That is not easy either, being new. Wow, way to go, Eileen. Pre-COVID attendance levels. That's impressive. Yeah, a lot of folks who are just really happy to have survived and gotten through it. We've got incubating some new vendors, including multiple Latinx-owned farms and food businesses. Awesome, Sage. Welcome to all the new market managers too. Good job. That's a great thing to brag about. First season is always a learning curve. Some great new marketing, logos. Oh my gosh, guys, this is great. I feel like we all, round of applause. Good job, everyone. This is very impressive. Wow, vendor sales were up 27% for Amanda Pastoria and Liz Connor, higher sales. Very good. Well, y'all, we are super proud of you and happy to call you our members. Thank you. So moving on, today's agenda. Let's officially call the start of our annual 2022 business meeting. So here's our agenda. It's kind of a mix of some nuts and bolts and some great updates from our partners and from y'all. And Ashley, who many of you have met, our wonderful new ED, is going to kick us off with kind of a quick history of OFMA, because there are a lot of new faces, and we wanted to just start with that. Take it away, Ashley.
Thanks. And I did forget to introduce myself, Ashley Hess, Executive Director at OFMA. I started in November, so I still feel very new, lots to learn. But one of the things I'm excited about the most this year is that it's OFMA's official 35th year anniversary. And that's a lot to celebrate. And I think that it's always important to share the history of an organization with the membership to keep that story alive. And since I'm new, it was great information for me to learn and to share with you guys. So OFMA was incorporated in 1987, which was a while ago, 35 years ago. And that was after an idea that August Schumacher Jr. presented about how WIC recipients were able to receive coupons at his state's market. And luckily for us, there were two folks in the audience, Caroline Goodall and Marty Fate, who shared a passion for programs like that. And they got together, shared their ideas, and started holding meetings in Oregon. They incorporated Oregon Farmers Market Association with the intent purpose of being able to support these food nutrition direct programs in farmers markets in Oregon. At the time, the history says there were only 12 markets in Oregon and not a single one in Portland. So these markets were all in more rural areas. In 1989, Carolyn and Marty assisted more market startups throughout Oregon. OFMA grew its membership to 35 members to support those existing markets. And then they continued to support that through 2006. OFMA continued to grow steadily. We got our 501c6 membership organization affiliation, and we had 75 members. Cut to 2018, there were more than 100 members of OFMA, and we hired our first ever executive director, Kelly Crane. Most of you know, fantastic, and is still helping to support OFMA in lots of ways and set the organization up in such a wonderful way. So we're very thankful that Kelly joined. And then that brings us to present, our 35th year. There's 136 farmers market locations across Oregon. And OFMA now has a 501c3 status, which can really help us grow our capacity and offer more support to the markets throughout Oregon. So we're excited to celebrate that this year. And we have lots of great plans of how we're going to mark that this year. So just want everybody to know the story's on our website as well, with lots more fun details about it. So that's great. Thanks.
Thank you. We also, kind of rooted in that history and knowing that background, we look forward with this new lens that's informed more by diversity, equity, inclusion. And on the slide is our statement, which says that farmers markets are a part of an agricultural system based in a history of racism and oppression. In order for OFMA to achieve our mission, OFMA aims to support equity for all communities by focusing explicitly on racial justice. So we're here together during a time that OFMA sees a lot of growth that's focused on an equitable future, and we're really grateful for your input and the ways that you've helped us expand our resources and contribute to kind of an anti-racist founding and worldview. And before we get into our recap from last year, I wanted to call into view and into focus our mission. So OFMA's mission is to support local agriculture and healthy communities by strengthening and promoting Oregon's farmers markets. And our vision, which is on the next slide, is a vibrant network connecting Oregon's farmers and consumers along with our community as a whole. So we look at this kind of holistically, knowing that healthy and safe communities for all are integral to the functioning of our food systems and our markets. And in essence, it's all connected. Everything we do is kind of rooted in our values and geared towards providing benefits towards our farmers markets, but also our community and beyond. And so who benefits from OFMA's work? We'd like to think everyone, but our main stakeholders fall into these three kind of broad categories. So market managers, which many, or if not most of you are, and you're like the lifeblood of OFMA. Most of our programming is designed for y'all, and it's with the intent and hope that you guys are influencing and supporting our other major stakeholders and kind of spreading those values into the community. vendors, who are the lifeblood of your work, market managers' work, and shoppers and community members. So these are your community folks. While we do a lot of work that's focused like directly on our direct shoppers or potential shoppers, we also know that solid communities overall support solid markets. So a lot of our advocacy work, especially in the last couple of years, has been geared towards creating healthy communities for all, not just explicitly those community folks who are directly involved in markets. And a reminder that there will be brief time for questions. So if you have a question, feel free to pop it in the chat box, and we will either get to it or make sure it gets to the right person. And as most of you know, and Ashley touched on, in recent years, OFMA has continued to increase our organizational capacity in huge ways in order to do a better job of meeting your needs. So since last year's meeting, we have, drum roll, hired Ashley, a new executive director, as well as our new programs communications coordinator, Madeline, as well as increased our amazing program manager, Amanda, increased her hours. So that especially is helping meet the demand for our new farmers market learning network, which you're going to hear more about later. But the big goals of that are continuing to expand communications and outreach, curating 3 years of networking, learning, and professional growth for markets across the state. And we have a small but mighty team. So we have 3 staff members and 5 committees. And as Ashley mentioned, we're in our 2nd year of official 501c3 status, which has seen a lot of growth and ability to fundraise. So this year we have nearly 100 markets. And especially after the last 2 years, we're just really proud of that number. We're proud that y'all are here. So thank you. As we get into 2022, we're hoping to keep that momentum up with those current activities. We're going to focus on deepening relationships, continue fundraising, continue actively recording new board members, so if anyone's interested, and also diversifying our composition. And we're just so excited to take what we've learned from you and what we've learned in these last 2 years, and continue evolving as this season gears up and we get into that main season. We think for so many reasons that this is going to be the biggest farmers market year yet in Oregon. We have no doubt. So round of applause for that. Since the virtual format is obviously a little different and we don't have a whole day of workshops for y'all planned, we want to point out that a lot of things that we have done at the annual meeting in the past are now happening in outside sessions, have either happened leading up to this meeting or will continue to happen throughout the rest of the year. So definitely head to our website, check out our YouTube channel. We have recordings of everything that's happened and notifications about events that are coming up. Next, we're going to hear from some of our staff and board members about what they've been up to in the last year. So take it away, Amanda.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, I'm going to give you an update on the programs and services from the last year and what's coming up next. In the last year, or 2 years, one of the ways that the COVID pandemic helped OFMA itself stretch and grow was that we learned how to do learning and networking to all of you across the state online. And meeting online has its good and bad, but what we've heard from you is that on the whole, it's been good for our community. Instead of the once a year event that you all have to travel to, it allows us to produce year-round programming that is both in-depth on perennial market needs as well as responsive to the emerging ones. And while meeting in person can't be underestimated for connection, seems like the frequent online networking with other people who get what you all do is better than not meeting at all, just having the once a year thing. So this past year, in early 2021, we set up several tracks of topics for you to choose from. We had lunch and learns on software. We had a winter learning series with things like social media, board governance, the lessons we learned from doing all those online markets in 2020, starting food access programming. We also had quarterly focus sessions on the ways anti-racism and white supremacy are embedded in how farmers markets operate and how we organize farmers markets and trying to uproot that. And when we saw topics come up, like how do you do Farmers Market Week or the PRS grant, or confusion about food production terms. We sought out specialists and we brought them in to answer your questions. Next slide. And so we're going to keep doing all of it. Was a success last year, and so we're going to keep doing all of that. But in 2022, we're giving it a name. It's now the Farmers Market Learning Network, and it's just a conglomeration of year-round monthly online workshops, peer-to-peer learning, and specialists providing technical assistance. We went to all of you several times last year to find out what was high need, and we found 4 focuses to guide what we're going to offer you next. I'm going to run through those quickly. So the first one is organizational development. We're going to be helping market boards and leadership and understanding their role and increase their skills, so markets will be more stable and more highly functioning. We're also doing a lot of branding and marketing. OFMA will be both promoting farmers markets on a wide scale to the public and also helping markets learn to best sell themselves and their vendors so they can grow their customer base and boost sales. The third one is new and beginning vendor support. We're going to be providing tools and practices to market managers in order to help them coach their newest vendors through the startup years and retain those vendors for the long term. And then the final one is diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to be really working with you guys. We heard a lot that you wanted more of this, about developing markets that are both diverse in customer and vendor base and helping Black and Brown owned businesses succeed across Oregon's markets. So coming out of the effects of the pandemic and the wildfires, we really hope these programs will be transformative and that you'll all build capacity to weather both the emergencies and just that long haul effort it takes to run markets anyway and make them profitable for the people that are so dependent on all of us to have stable places where they can be in business. Also within the Farmers Market Learning Network, we have 10 markets that are committed to a higher level of involvement in the program, and they are going to be also collecting data for us so that we can measure if, how, and where all of this work that we are doing to provide you guys with more training and resources, how it makes a difference. And all of this will be, we're excited to say markets will be able to participate cost-free. All of this funding, or all of this is possible thanks to funding that OFMA went after and was successful in getting from the USDA and some Oregon foundations. The funding also, as we said, pays for more OFMA staff time, including our new project communications coordinator, Madeline, who's here to get these trainings to you and to promote farmers markets. And I think we are going to hear from her next.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. So much great work. Here is our communications coordinator, Madeline, to talk a little bit more about what's happening at OFMA and what you can expect from us resource-wise and how to get involved.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be able to introduce myself formally to all of you. My name is Madeline. I'm the new communications coordinator for OFMA. So I just wanted to give y'all an update on all of the different ways that I'm here to help support you. OFMA continues to create resources available to all Oregon markets, branding and marketing templates, diversity, equity, and inclusion activities and booklets, production terms glossaries, farmers market week guides, and board governance templates. And all of those resources are sorted by topic on our website. Our website is an awesome resource hub. If you haven't taken the time to dig in there, I highly recommend it. There's so much awesome information on there. We also want to make sure that our communication channels are helping to serve you. We're going to be launching a social media campaign this summer, which is really exciting. But the efficacy of that is going to depend on participation. The more content that you're producing and sharing, the more exposure and cross-pollination we can do. If you're hiring, if you're holding an event, if you're sharing your market dates, tag us or send us the post and we will happily share. If you have photos or especially video, a lot of social media is pivoting to pushing a lot of video content. Please send it to me. Please, please, please. We will tag you. We can use it to share what's so awesome about you guys. And the largest push for all of this is going to be happening during Farmers Market Week, which is going to be at the peak of the season. And we'll really be trying to drive engagement and foot traffic at that peak time to all of your markets. We also produced a quarterly newsletter. The first one that I am designing is coming out in 2 weeks, I believe. And we communicate updates via our social media and the ORFM listserv. So if you aren't part of those, I'll drop links. Please join them. It's an awesome way to easily stay in touch with us and make sure you're up to date with everything we're doing. And make sure that you are subscribed to all of our channels. And we also have a dedicated private market manager Facebook group for knowledge sharing and promotion. If you're not part of that, definitely request to join and we will let you in. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Many of you participated in, at the end of 2021, our annual census, where we gathered a bunch of information about what happened with y'all this year. Thank you for participating. If you did, the more data we get, the more accurate our information is. And so here's Amanda to tell us a little bit about our findings from this year.
Yeah, so starting just with the 4 basic facts about our industry that we use to measure it with. So the number of markets and organizations, we counted up that there are 113 organizations running farmers markets in Oregon with 136 individual locations of farmers markets. Those markets hosted almost 6,000 vendors last year, and the public made 3.4 million visits to farmers markets last year, allowing vendors to take home over $62 million in sales. The essential takeaways from 2021 was that it was mostly a rebound out of 2020's pandemic and wildfires. And we got pretty close to being back to 2019 stats, but we're not quite there. And though that's the overall, on the individual market level and on the vendor level, the effects were a little more mixed. The census survey covered lots more than that, though. I'm sure you remember it was quite long. And so, next slide. We have a lot more to tell you, and we're really excited about it. And so we're giving the census its own presentation time, which is coming up on the first Tuesday in April. This is in lieu of the usual peer learning circle that happens at that time. Please note that you do need to register for it so that you'll get the Zoom link for it. We'll be covering other topics that we asked you about, like stall fees, market staff pay scales, SNAP sales, and a bunch of vendor level data from our research cohort markets. And this year, we also noticed that you all wanted to know more about how to collect data and make better estimates about what's happening at your own market. And so we're going to be going into tips on how to take collection to the next level and how to crunch your own numbers and do analysis. And yeah, so I think we have a link in the chat. So please make sure that you register for that and join us on April 5th. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Next, we'll hear a little bit about our finances from the year and our budget upcoming from Ari, our board treasurer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ari Rosner. I'm the board treasurer for OFMA. So one quick thing to note is that OFMA runs on a fiscal year, which is not the same as a calendar year. It starts at the beginning of October and runs through to the end of September. So this is for the fiscal year, which ended September 30th, 2021, last September. So this first slide shows our comparison to budget for that fiscal year. So as you can see, a big net loss. And the reason for our net loss in that fiscal year was sort of the timing of some big grant awards that we had received in the previous fiscal year when we had a large net income, positive net income. And then in this last fiscal year that just ended, we spent down those grant awards on programming. And that's the difference for that sort of offsetting loss. You can see it broken up in a little more detail. These two numbers at the bottom. The first number, negative 61,000, that shows the net loss that was the spin down of those grant awards. But then we actually had positive net income in unrestricted funds. Those are funds that were not from a grant for a particular program use, but were unrestricted for all uses. We actually saw almost 20,000 in positive net income from unrestricted sources, which is really great for OFMA. You know, this past year, we were really lucky to be able to spend a lot of restricted funds on almost everything that we needed to do to operate the organization and our programs. But that's not always going to be the case, and having those unrestricted funds available gives OFMA a lot more flexibility and agency in being able to run the programs and keep the organization going. Next slide. This breaks out the expenses for that fiscal year. As you can see, OFMA's expenses are primarily staff-related expenses, wages and salaries, payroll taxes, employee benefits. Those comprise the substantial majority of OFMA's total expenses. The other big category is research and evaluation, and that comprises the payments that OFMA makes to farmers markets and other partners in doing the work like the Farmers Market Learning Program for collecting information and data for those programs. OFMA pays those partners for that work. Other than that, our other administrative and other expenses are so small, they're not even shown here on this pie chart. Next slide. And this is a pie chart showing our revenue breakdown. So currently, or at least currently as of this past fiscal year, OFMA's revenue comes overwhelmingly from government grants, from a USDA grant that has been funding OFMA's activities. Membership dues, you can see those are the dues that all of you as member markets pay to OFMA. Only make up about 13 to 14%. However, I will say, while those are a small overall portion, they are unrestricted funds and again allow for that flexibility in OFMA's operations. So really are crucial as the largest source of unrestricted money for OFMA. This, however, is not an ideal pie chart for our purposes of kind of long-term planning. Overall, our goal is to broaden the scope and kind of have more different sources of revenue coming together to form OFMA's budget rather than one large source, although we are very happy for that USDA money. Next slide. And then this shows our budget for the current fiscal year, which began in October and runs through to the end of this September. So that's our 2021-2022 fiscal year. And this shows, already we're kind of starting to broaden a little bit the sources of revenue. We have more money proportionally coming in from foundation grants, still obviously a large chunk of money coming from USDA, which are the government grants, and then also some corporate sponsorships and membership fees kind of continuing to make a sort of baseline amount of revenue. And I think we are going to have some time for Q&A. And I think this is a Q&A not just for me for the financial report, although I'm happy to take questions, but I think if there are questions about any of those other staff or board members that spoke, now is a fine time to ask questions of any of us.
Sure, and you can either pop those in the chat, or if you want to come off mute and just ask, that's okay too. Just remember to share the time with everyone.
Oh, hey, this is Allison. I have a question. Madeline, will you remind us of the best, most current tag for including you on our social media posts?
So you can always tag us at Oregon Farmers Markets.
Okay.
The hashtags that we use on every post are hashtag Oregon Farm Fresh and hashtag Oregon Farmers Markets.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I won't see it if you hashtag it. So if you want us to post your repost,
Okay.
tag us or send it to us via private message, whatever works easier for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anna, it's looking like people are pretty set with what we presented. So
We packed a lot of information into a short period of time. If questions come up while other folks are speaking, just put them in the chat and we will make sure they they get answered. So thank you. And with that, I will hand it over to Ashley, introduce our speakers.
Yeah, thanks everyone. So we have some great speakers today. I think that everyone has come across Katie, Molly, Alice, and Eric at some point, but I'm just going to introduce them as they come up, and Katie's going first. So Katie Furya with Oregon Health Authority helps manage WIC, SNAP, all sorts of great FDNP resources. So Katie, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Sure, thanks. Hi, everybody. Thanks to OFMA for having me here to talk about the Oregon Farm Direct Nutrition Program. I think Madeline has my slides. There we go. That's me. And again, I'm Katie Furya. I use she, her pronouns. Next slide, please. For those less familiar with the program, we give out these $4 green checks each year to WIC families and income eligible seniors to buy fresh produce directly from the farmers at farmers markets and farm stands. That does include these beautiful fresh mushrooms here. I always get questions about mushrooms, so I just want to put that out there right away. Next slide, please. So last season in 2021, we had nearly 1.4 redeemed in farm direct checks, and that was all paid to local farmers. Still not quite at pre-pandemic levels. Although for our seniors, we did see an increase from the 2020 season, so that's promising. WIC has had some additional barriers in issuance just because a lot of the clients still aren't coming in person to the office as they used to. So getting the checks in the hands of WIC participants has been challenging. And also there's been an increase in the fruit and vegetable benefit as part of the regular WIC package that can only be redeemed at grocery stores. So unfortunately, that's had a little bit of a negative consequence on our farm direct redemption for fruits and vegetables. But we're going to be addressing that this season and working with some partners and local agencies to work on some messaging for that. But 1.4 million, all to local Oregon farmers. So we're still pretty stoked about that. Next slide, please. And new for 2022, lots of exclamation points. If you know Maria or I, that's how we talk and that's how we write. We get real excited about things. So our first ever program logo, as you see here, so that'll be showing up on a lot of our new materials this year or some iteration of this, which we're hoping will be really helpful with our marketing and outreach. We are increasing our senior benefit from $24 to $32 per person for the season. That's a one-time issuance. And we will be issuing more checks than ever. So 58,000 WIC participants will be receiving that $28 benefit, and that can go to multiple people in the household. And then we are hoping to issue to 60,000 seniors at the $32 level. And we do issue for WIC and senior in every county in Oregon. One of the biggest benefits for you as markets to become authorized is that we have you included on our online directory, which we heavily market to all of our participants so they know where they can go and spend their checks. And honestly, the last couple seasons, it hasn't been really very user-friendly. It's been kind of a pain. So we have a team of folks working to make that a better experience for those trying to find a place to use their checks. And that should go live in May, early May, and we update that through the season. Next slide. Some key dates. April 1st will be when we start our farmer and market authorization, and I'll go into more details on that in a moment. May through September is when the WIC clinics issue checks, so that's a slower rollout through the season. June 1st is the first day to spend them with farmers. Most of our seniors will have their checks in hand, which we send in the mail by the middle of June. Last day to spend the checks is November 30th, and then we give farmers an additional month to get those deposited at their bank. So just a reminder that markets are not accepting or depositing checks at all. That all goes through the farmers. So you may not see them flowing through your markets, but I promise you they are. Next slide. So more on the authorization. So if you are a returning market, so your market was authorized last season, you will receive a renewal email on April 1st. It will come from Smartsheet Automation, which is the platform we use for this. There'll be a link in the email you just need to click on. It'll take you to a place to update your information, which is just really your season start date times, things like that. And then we have you sign the annual agreement. You should be good to go. If you are a new market and did not participate last year, you will need to complete a new application, which you can find on our website at myoregonfarm.org. There's a navigation tab on the side for that's resources for farmers and markets. If we have an email on file for your market that is not accurate anymore, you can send us an email here at oregon.fdmp, and we can get that changed so that the renewal email goes to the appropriate person. For new markets, or if you are a new representative for your market, we do require a 30-minute one-time orientation call that will most likely be with me. And then all of our markets sign a 1-year agreement, and then everybody receives the program packet materials in the mail. Next slide. For new and returning farmers, when we're back, very similar process to how you apply as a market. All of our returning farmers will receive an email that they complete, and then new farmers can find an application on our website. All farmers must be authorized for the current season before they can be accepting the checks. If they try to deposit them, they don't get paid. And for the last couple seasons, some farmers markets have found it helpful to have me look up the authorization status of some farmers. So if you are curious about which of your farmers are authorized, you can go ahead and email me the names of them, and I can look them up and let you know if that would be helpful. Totally optional. And then the next slide here is just my contact information. I always love to hear from markets. Contact me with any questions or ideas, whatever. I'm always happy to talk to you. And thanks for letting me go before Molly, because I feel like Molly has all the money and all the big news.
Thanks, Katie. That was great. We
you.
really appreciate you sharing. And Molly, you're up next. So let's hear about all this.
All right. Give me 1 minute to do my magical presentation here. Ooh, but hold on. See, this is why I should have taken you up on the screen share, but I think we're gonna do this. All right, is everyone seeing my presentation?
Looks
yes?
Great.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's not just going to be me. I've got a special guest that's joining me in my presentation. Stay tuned. And also, Katie, I loved your reference to an exclamation-filled presentation, because I've got another one coming up for you. And that is the Double Up update. So hello, everybody. I'm Molly Notariani, she, her, the Executive Director at Farmers Market Fund. And yeah, I'm so jazzed to give you a quick and exciting presentation. Oops, let's see. So we coordinate the Double Up Food Bucks program, which probably a lot of you have heard of. And if you haven't, welcome. It is a SNAP matching program. So for every $1 of SNAP that a shopper spends at a participating farmer's market, they get an extra $1 of Double Up Food Bucks that they can spend on fruits and veggies. Here's a Double Up Food Buck, and those are some pictures. And so, you know, we see Double Up as a triple win, right? It helps shoppers bring home more fresh produce, it helps farmers make more money, and then it really supports our local economies.
Hey, Molly.
Yeah.
I think we're not quite seeing we're seeing like the presenter view, actually.
Oh,
so
no.
We'd like to see the big picture of your slides.
Oh no, hold on. How about that?
Yes, there we go.
Thank you. Someone was probably chatting at me and I just was not even paying attention. All right. So this is how it works. Pure and simple. Go to the info booth, swipe your EBT card, and we match up to $20 a day now of Double Up Food Bucks, and then shoppers can shop at the farmers market. So I'm going to start by giving a look back on what happened in 2021, and then we'll have a little bit of time to talk about what's coming for 2022. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this was the biggest year in the history of Double Up Food Bucks. We had over 2 million of combined SNAP and Double Up Food Bucks sales, which is just so incredible because that's all also money that's going directly into the pockets of your vendors at your farmers markets. We had almost 80,000 households that benefited from the program. And we also had more sites than ever before, 62 sites in 21 counties. So a really broad reach of almost all of the farmers markets in the state. If you want to look at a chart of numbers, here is one for you to look at. I'm not going to go through every single one, but you can see a pretty incredible and dramatic growth in the program back from 2019 to 2021. We also know that food insecurity is at the highest that it's been in a century in Oregon. And so we're really proud to be able to have provided this extra support at a time when it's really been needed. So more new customers, more transactions, more support for families and farmers. Took me a long time to put those sunglasses on that head of lettuce, but I'm here to tell you that Double Up nearly doubled in 2021, which is amazing. We couldn't have done it without all of you. You really make it happen at your farmers markets and in your communities. Another thing that I'm so excited to share is that we went back to Salem virtually. We did not stand in the rain at a lobby day, but we put together a complete virtual campaign and actually got $4 million from the state of Oregon to support Double Up Food Bucks. So I know that I reached out to a lot of you to send letters of support, to testify at hearings, to engage your community and your vendors, and just wanted to say thank you. It worked. I am so proud of the work that we've done together to sustain this important funding for this really important program. You might think, Molly, how could we top that? What could happen next? And I'm here to tell you that there's some really exciting things happening this upcoming year, and I'm going to share that with all of you. So you asked and we listened. One of the biggest things that we're the most proud about is that we've increased the daily match from $10 to $20 at all sites. Per site, per shopper, per day, which is going to double the impact of the program. And we actually have funding to be able to offer that through all of 2022 and all of 2023. Another big thing that we're really proud of is that we have adequate funding. And so we're not requiring a cost share from any of your markets. So in the past, we kind of did a 20-80 or 30-70 split, and we are able to support the full cost of the program so that you can focus your energy on things other than fundraising for Double Up Food Bucks. Should I be keeping an eye on the chat? So exciting. I won't keep an eye on the chat. Another thing that we've heard is that the cost of the incentives is definitely like a big aspect of running Double Up Food Bucks, but it's not everything. You've got to buy more EBT tokens. When the program grows, you and your staff and volunteers spend more time counting tokens. And so we have a new mini grant program this year that's going to help cover some of those really essential non-incentive related expenses of the program. And then I'm sure you will learn more about it today or in the future, but we have such an amazing partnership with OFMA, who helps you kind of become able to accept SNAP and work through any tech hurdles you might have. And so there's more new technical assistance from OFMA coming to help you have an even better experience. And with that, I'm here to bring our special guest on, Farmers Market Fund's new program manager, Joel Carras, to talk to you about the mini grant program that I hinted at.
Thank you, Molly. So I'm Joel Carras. I'm the new program manager with Farmers Market Fund. And yeah, one of the main projects that I'll be working on in this position is a new mini grant program to provide support to all our different participating farmers markets in the Double Up Food Bucks program. So just to give a quick kind of high level overview of it, so you have a little information in advance of us launching that program. So all participating markets in Double Up Food Bucks program for this main 2022 season will be eligible to apply. We'll have an application set up through the online store or through an online form, the same one that you use with the Double Up Food Bucks application. So we're going to try to keep that pretty simple and straightforward and easy for you to fill out and get submitted. We're planning to open this up by March 31st. Our goal is to basically announce it when we contact all the markets to let them know about their participation in Double Up Food Bucks this year. And we'll probably have about a 3-week application open period, and then aim to have the decisions made by the beginning of May, and we can get the money out to markets pretty quickly there. So this program, like Molly said, it's to kind of provide some extra support for some of those expenses with running Double Up Food Bucks. And in particular, with the funding source that we have, this is kind of the eligible expenses. They need to be related to the incentive increase from $10 to $20 that took place recently, and then kind of including the resultant increase in SNAP redemption that a lot of the markets have seen. So some of the kind of expenses that could include are getting new SNAP tokens, maybe specific outreach materials above and beyond what Farmers Market Fund provides that are kind of more targeted to your community or to specific populations. Staff and contract time obviously is a big one for Double Up Food Buck accounting and reporting, and for the actual process of distributing SNAP and Double Up Food Bucks incentives, things like that. We'll have probably a little bit more of a complete list by the time we launch it. I'm still looking into a few other possible eligible expenses and if we can include those as well. So that's kind of the big overview. There'll be more details, like I said, when we launch by the end of the month, and I'm always happy to answer any questions or to chat with anyone about the program, so feel free to reach out to me. I've got my email and phone number there on the slide, so yeah, I'm here and available, and I'm excited to kind of be in this new position and get to work with you all coming up. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joel. So I know we're running a little long, so I'm going to go speedily through my last two slides. Technically, the window to apply for Double Up just closed, but it's not too late. We've got about one more week. We built in a little bit of a buffer. So I think the high level is if you are interested, please email me. I've got my email at the bottom there. Reach out soon. We would recommend, if you've got all of these things in place that I'm not going to read through, that joining this year would be the best fit. And if not, reach out to me and Amanda. We can help you get set up and maybe you can join next year. FMF is growing, and here is all of our staff. I just thought it might be helpful, since you work with a couple different of us, to know who to reach out to. So you probably all know Mallory, our program coordinator. She's great to reach out to if you are a new market who wants to join Double Up. Joel, our program manager, reach out to him if you want to participate in the mini grant program. Me, reach out to me about anything else, especially if you have a big pile of persimmons. I would love them. And I don't think we have time for questions, but at the end, oh no, did my last slide disappear? Can you see it? I just wanted you to see that heart-shaped potato. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. Double Up would not be possible without you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly and Joel. And if anybody has questions for both of them, they left their contact info and we'll send it after. Thank you both so much. That's all really exciting. Next up, we've got Eric. I think he's on here.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? All right, great. Well, I just have a couple of updates from our office. Just a couple updates on some grants. We just recently closed our 2022 specialty crop block grant, and we have a couple of new grants, an Oregon meat processing grant that we're allocating $2 million in this fiscal for infrastructure and operating capacity for Oregon meat processors. So applicants can request up to $500,000 for equipment, physical improvements, technical assistance, processing hardware, etc. I'm going to include these links into the chat after I'm done, but the grant application closes on the 23rd of March. Coming up in April of this year, we are going to be doing a block grant for seafood processors. We'll be reimbursement grant dollars for processors that had expenditures through COVID, equipment, PPE, other things. And that submission will start in late April, early May. And so look out for that if you have any processors or fishermen in your, in your districts and in your regions. I'm excited. Can you see this is all right. So I'm excited about the Oregon Food and Beverage Makers Roadmap. This is, it's not 100% complete yet, but I did want to share it with you. Over the last four and a half years, we'd been interviewing food and beverage makers, primarily value-add food and beverage makers, on some of the difficulties of finding resources in the state to help them grow. And so what we had done is we compiled information from service providers, organizations throughout the state on how to better access, these organizations. And so we created the Oregon Food and Beverage Makers Roadmap. And again, I'll leave this in the chat because I'd love some feedback. But here's the general concept, and I'm going to kind of walk you through it. But it allows companies that are looking to learn more about these different topics, whether they're networking opportunities, growing their businesses, education, human resources, jobs, marketing, finance, operations, and regulatory support. And just to take you a quick walk through, I'm going to take you to growing my business, and how it ties into your markets would be that organizations that want to grow their business, they can click on that link and then choose their region. Go into the Willamette Valley as an example, and they can see the resources available in their region, whether selling into retail, for example, and then drum roll, here we go, into farmers markets. Now, on top of this, what you don't see now is we're adding these expert articles. So yeah, this is great and everything, but like, how do you educate people how to really sell into farmers markets? So we are working on expert articles that companies can click on, and they can read through how to successfully sell into farmers markets. What I'm asking from your markets is, if you want to be on this list, I have a request for listings page, which I'll put into the link as well, the chat, but to submit your market here, because we would like to have as many markets on here as possible. And then also any feedback, if anybody has any feedback on what would be a good tool for new companies selling in market, or in farmers markets around the state. So that is what I have for today. This is my I'm excited to share this, and I'm going to leave my email, I'm going to leave my contact, I'm going to leave everything. But if you have any questions, whether it has to do with this or whether it has to do with anything else state and ODA related, please reach out to me. Thanks for having me again. It's good to see you all, and bye.
Thanks, Eric. That roadmap is exciting. It looks really great. Alice, you're up next. Our very own Alice is going to be presenting on FOF.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. Let me get my screen share going. Yes, this presentation, share. And all right, can folks see that? Loading. While I am getting that loaded, my name is Alice Morrison. I'm the organizational director of Friends of Family Farmers, and I am also the board secretary of OFMA. Thank you all so much for taking the time today. As a former market gardener and small rural farmers market manager, I know how much this time is valuable, especially at this point in the season. So thank you all for being here. So today I'm here to talk to you about the organization that I'm a co-director of, Friends of Family Farmers. We have been around since 2005, and we really want to serve as a technical assistance and advocacy hub for the farmers who are your vendors. So our mission, of course, I'm not going to read it out, but we work in both advocacy spaces and technical assistance, kind of direct support spaces for farmers across the state, with the goal of creating a more resilient, equitable, and sustainable localized food system. So if you all haven't heard of us, who we serve, we have about 4,800 farmers across the state engaging in our communications and programming. And the farmers that we serve are mostly use direct-to-consumer sales outlets like CSAs, on-farm sales, and farmers markets primarily. A lot of them also sell into institutions and do wholesale, but pretty much all of our farmers have a direct-to-consumer sales component. So many of your vendors are probably in our target audience. They also tend to have diversified farm plans. So we work with folks who are growing a whole suite of things, incorporating perennials and incorporating livestock into their farm plans. They tend to be smaller acreage. So the folks that you all know and love who are growing maybe 5 to 10 acres of vegetables or pasturing on 50 or fewer acres are a big part of our constituency. And they're, if they're not certified already, they are using at least some organic, biodynamic, and regenerative farming practices. So those are the kind of folks that our programming is gauged toward. And I think you all probably see a lot of similarities between our target farmers and your vendors. So what our farmers tend to care about most and what our programming seeks to address is, number one, climate change and its impact on the food system. This is a perennial issue for our growers. We are a farmer directed organization. So 80% of our staff and 100% of our board are current or former Oregon farmers. And we do, all of our programming is guided by our farmer constituents. So we do biannual surveys and focus groups to determine the biggest pain points, and climate change always tops the list. The next thing that we focus our programming on is making small farming a viable livelihood, obviously, which is what you all do as well, and farm adjacent infrastructure, processing and other industries like farmers markets, and protecting farmland and adjacent ecosystems from degradation, development, to ensure a secure food future. This right here is a picture of one of our Oregon Pasture Network farmers. These two folks on the left here are the farm owners. We visited them in late August, hence the grass. And this is our OPN advisory committee member giving them a pasture audit and some examples of how they can work for their land and their community. So we run a couple of different programs that we would love for you to encourage your folks to tap into or help solve their problems. We, of course, run Oregon Farm Link, which we lovingly dub the Craigslist of farmland, and that connects land seekers and land holders in order to find ways for farmland to stay in production across generational transitions. If folks in your network are nearing retirement or looking to pass their farmland on to the next generation of farmers, that is a great resource to recommend to them. We also run the Oregon Pasture Network, which is a community of practice for pasture-based animal agriculture folks. So anyone who is selling meat or eggs or animal products at your market who is raising those folks on pasture would be a great person to tap into our educational peer-to-peer learning and technical support and marketing support resources of the Oregon Pasture Network. They're geared specifically toward pasture-based animal agriculture. We also have Informations, which is our wonderful program that connects farmers to the public to do public education on specifically small farmer issues and encourage those relationships and public understanding of the things facing your farmers. Something we pride ourselves on is that we give that as a platform for the farmers to talk directly to their constituents. And that could be some great educational materials for folks in your network if they're having recurring questions about, like, what do certifications mean? What grain crops and how are they processed and why do they cost the way that they do? So those things come up frequently, as well as our advocacy programming. So we have been working in the state level legislative and regulatory spheres to represent the folks in our network and make sure that they can access the programs that will benefit them, and that they have pathways to making their farms viable to build that food system that we all want to see. So for example, the meat processing infrastructure grant that Eric just talked about came out of a bill that we worked to pass with Representative Brock Smith back in 2021. And one of our staff members is sitting on the grant decision committee. So we're very excited about that, to increase processing capacity in the state and be able to bring more meat through our farmers to your markets and benefit everybody through the process. So all of that information, how do markets get involved in this? I've talked a lot about farmers. And of course, you all know the importance of farmers, but also we want to make sure that you all see yourselves in our programming because you're an integral part of this system. So first and foremost, you can join our email list. We send out a monthly newsletter called The Barnyard that talks about all of the programming updates and opportunities coming up. We would really love for you to share our events and opportunities with your vendor bases, because your vendors look to you all as community leaders, and also as someone who sees your vendors on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you have a lot more access to them about what is going on a day-to-day at their farms. We have close relationships with many of our farmers, but you all see them every single week. So if somebody's facing a problem or an obstacle, we'd also love for you to recommend our technical assistance programs, because we are here to help and to be a resource for you, because it's really hard to see a vendor of yours facing an issue that you don't have the capacity or have the expertise to fix, you can pass them our way and we can do everything in our power to find them either assistance from us or one of our partners who can help them with their problems. Also use us as a producer resource. We do have, especially on Oregon Farm Link, there is a lot of information about farm financing, for example, directories of specialists who can help out farmers facing some kind of specific challenge regarding leasing, owning land, farm transfer, succession. We're very happy to help with any of those things. We also have resource lists on the Oregon Pasture Network. And there are some resources about disaster mitigation on our FOF website because we are also involved in the OCFSN disaster relief fund that the applications are actually open. So if your farmers are facing some kind of crisis, please do send them our way and we will help them get the support that they need. You can also take the 2022 Family Farm Survey, which I will drop links to the English and Spanish version in the chat. There are different pathways in that survey for like, are you a farmer? Are you a farmer's market affiliate, farmers, local food infrastructure kind of person? Are you a concerned community member? And there are different questions to help us guide our programming because, as I said, we're a constituent-based organization. And we do send out action alerts when there are things coming up that could be could impact your ability to do business, your success, your farmer's success. And if you join our email list, you will get all of those action alerts. And please be sure, if you are interested in taking part in that kind of advocacy, and especially if you're interested in county level advocacy, please put your full address when you sign up so that you can get the alerts that have to do with your local community and not just the statewide alerts. So that is all I have for you today. You can contact me with any follow-up questions about this presentation or Friends of Family Farmers in general. You can reach me at alice@friendsofamilyfarmers.org, or if you have a general question, you can always hit up the info account and we will get you the answers that you need. Thank you all so much. We enjoy being part of the OFMA family so much, and that's all I got.
Thanks, Alice. And thank you, Katie, Molly, Eric, Alice. Thank you guys so much for sharing your time, your expertise. We appreciate hearing from you. We have a lot left on our agenda, guys. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be back for some really exciting breakout rooms and then some more on our agenda. Madeline's got a really awesome surprise for us here. So we'll see you all back here at 12:40. Madeline Plop is the cutest thing of all time. The dishware game.
Thank you.
Major.
I'm a little biased, but I definitely agree.
All right, so we're at 12:40. Let's hop back in. Everyone get back on if you're in the room, or we'll wait for everyone to get back settled in one more minute. I feel like Plop should be our official mascot for OFMA. Also resembles me while I'm eating a salad, just so fast. They're so cute.
All right, should I hop back onto the slideshow?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, perfect.
It looked like Plop knew we were all watching them the entire time. Okay, guys, welcome back. Hope you got to stretch your legs, get a drink of water. So thanks for the cutest intermission of all time, Madeline. That's the best. We are going to hop right into our breakout rooms now. And this year, knowing that we've got the 35th anniversary of OFMA, and we are also coming out of the past 2 years when folks are going to be hopefully out shopping at markets at record rates. We want to really harness that energy this year. OFMA is going to be working with a PR agency for a lot of press as well. We have social media campaigns in the plans. And we want to know from you guys what we can do and what resources that you're looking for, and how we can all leverage our collective resources to make this the biggest year in Oregon Farmers Market's history. So with that in mind, we're going to focus on marketing markets during our brainstorm breakouts. So you'll each have a facilitator in your room. We're going to take 15 minutes. We're going to talk through some questions and ideas. Then we're going to come back, share as a group, and capture these ideas and move forward from there. So Madeline's going to teleport everyone to their rooms now, and we'll see you back here in 15 minutes with some fun ideas. I can't wait to hear.
I think I was in the wrong room.
Oh, what room?
I was with Ashley. So is there one that
No. Okay.
one that doesn't have
Let
a
me see. Dang it. I prearranged them too.
maybe
Okay.
room one?
I think so. I don't see anyone. Okay, let me move you. Yeah. Okay. See if that works.
Hi, Madeline.
Hi, we're all in breakout groups right now.
Cool. I'm joining a little bit early for Rachel asked me to come at 1 o'clock, so
Okay,
I can just hang out here with
perfect.
you.
Good.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
You are now in the main.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I don't know about you guys. That was not enough time for my breakout group. There's lots to share. Everyone's doing great work. And I think, Madeline, is everybody back on? I can't quite see everyone.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Hope you guys had some super great conversations in there. If folks would like to share from their breakout room one quick highlight from ideas, the one thing that stood out in my group was that stories are really important in your marketing, and getting the stories of your vendors, your market, the food that's at your market really appeals to audiences. The other piece is newsletters. Newsletters are critical for the folks that we talked to. Amanda, do you want to call on someone from your group?
Sure, I think Jess was going to talk for our group, if she feels prepared.
Hello. Well, we had a few things in discussing outreach with our group and just different methods that folks are using to spread the word of their upcoming market season. Some were even like in Coos Bay or Scappoose, they were using, or in Denling County, radio broadcasting and even some live broadcasting at the market itself. And just different methods of how we are, again, spreading the word, whether it's in local publications, social media, and how to grow our reach, whether the use of bookmarks or new banners, updated logos, that sort of thing. So that was some fun sharing of how we are sharing our market and what the new season will bring.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. And I think another thing in the discussion about what markets need, I thought one thing, interesting thing that came out was like, it's not just about training about social media or like the mechanics of how to do something. It's like really wanting to understand strategy of communications and what is efficient, what to use with limited resources, how to narrow in on what a good communication strategy looks like, and what that budget should be or is typical for farmers markets.
Great. Rachel, let's hear from your group.
Sure, I can share real quickly. I think something that several folks said was that they recently moved away from more print advertisements, and they didn't actually see a huge loss from that. So they're continuing on that trend, and a lot of folks focusing on social media as a kind of counterbalance to that.
That's great. Same for our group. Anna?
Yeah, Sage was gonna.
Yeah, kind of similar to what Jessica mentioned, that we target our marketing strategies to who our customer base is. So a lot of print materials are actually still used from the markets that we chatted with, and kind of just on the ground, paired with social media as well. And some marketing resources that could be useful, especially for like the 35th anniversary, is some like templates and accessible logos, and even quick little fun facts that we can share and just pull from and share on our social medias.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited for all of that stuff too. Alice, anyone from your group?
Yeah, I'm going to share out for our group. We had folks from I think maybe one of the farthest ranging groups. We had folks from Wallowa and Nesquin and Umpqua. And so we talked about what strategies have been helpful for them. And our folks in our group were talking about how helpful it is to partner with local tourism institutions and those business partnerships to get flyers in front of new visitors as well in smaller communities that are tourist destinations. And also we talked about radio as well, and about banners and like public signage at your farmers market site and along major thoroughfares. We talked about if there were any barriers to that. It does seem like the larger kind of billboards and things along major routes are booked out quite a bit, but folks have found solutions in like asking folks if they can put up signage on private land and just making those relationships with the property owners along this site. We did talk about whether or not printed pamphlets from OFMA should come back, and our group is in favor of them, that they have been helpful to them and have a place alongside the online Find Your Market tool. So that was interesting to talk through. And yeah, lots of relationship-based local business affiliations. And we also talked about radio and how folks do use that during the slower times in order to emphasize that we're still around, we're still doing it.
That's great. I love radio, and good feedback about the printed pamphlets. That's also something I think that will pull folks for at some point. I think Ari, your group is the next one.
Yep. I'll share out from our group. A lot of the same themes that other people have talked about, we discussed as well. One idea came up for a shared resource today that was an interesting idea, which would sort of be like a toolkit for market emergency response. So whether like unplanned closures due to weather or other calamity, or like PR crisis response, but kind of a toolkit to help markets deal with those sort of emergency situations through their marketing.
That's great. Thank you, everyone. Great trends and ideas as well. And I think Anna's going to take us on into our part 2 of OFMA business.
So like I mentioned before, we have staff and we have the board, and along with the board, we have 5 committees, 4 main committees and 1 executive. So, president, vice president, that kind of stuff. So we're going to hear a little bit from our 4 committees, starting with the policy committee and Tara from the policy committee.
Thanks, Anna. Hi, I'm Tara, and I'm fairly new to the board. I think it's almost been a year. I'm not quite sure when I joined. I think maybe it was in May of 2021. And yeah, so I'm on the board, and I'm also on the policy committee. And here's just a little bit of information about what we've been up to. So as the slide mentions, in the last couple of years, we have moved into more direct advocacy work, especially supporting folks in our broader community. Since we last saw you at the annual meeting, although I was not there, we've wrapped up 1 long session and 1 short session. We focused on a number of things, but some big legislative wins were around farm workers. So the farm worker overtime bill, universal legal representation, and the Leave No Worker Behind tax credit bill. Much of our volunteer efforts were in supporting the organizations that are leading the change on immigrant and farm worker rights. To this end, we are looking at ways to expand our support in this upcoming year, both by deepening relationships and also giving financial support. In this way, we see redistribution of funds to organizations doing this work and those who are directly impacted by these issues as another tool in our advocacy toolbox. We will also be looking to get member feedback as we move forward. This will likely happen in coordination with some overall strategic planning that OFMA is doing. But if you have any feedback and would like to get involved, please email. I'll just put our email in the chat here in a second, info@oregonfarmersmarket.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. And next, the fundraising committee.
Yeah, and Darcy Spars, our committee chair, she can't be here today. I'll just share really briefly. Money doesn't grow on trees, but it does take a lot of money to fund work. And OFMA is in a really great position right now, fundraising wise. So our committee offers support to help just bolster the resources that we have. So the committee members support OFMA with fundraising activities, introducing us to corporate partners. Last year, a big highlight was that the fundraising committee prepared our stewardship report for us to share out with our partners and supporters, and also headed up Farmers Market Week and helped a lot and supported around there. So it's a lot of marketing awareness and specifically fiscal support connections. And this committee meets monthly. It's a great way to learn some fundraising skills or to bring some of your experience to OFMA and help build our resources and expand our capacity.
Awesome, thank you. And next we have the DEI committee.
Hi, yeah. So in the last year, the committee has led 2 hiring processes at Athma. We've changed some board giving policies, added a stipend for board members. We've used Athma's annual census for race and ethnicity questions, trying to give context to who is running Oregon's farmers markets. And we've asked employment pay scale and years of paid, unpaid experience to look at pay equity and barriers to employment, and asked about actions markets have taken in support of DEI, the Black Lives Matter movement, and what resources or training they need to do more. And answers to a lot of these questions greatly influenced the development of OFMA's Farmers Market Learning Network. This year, the committee is working on getting funding so that when OFMA does its next strategic plan, it can be with a facilitator whose expertise is in DEI. And there's room to join this committee. So you can sign up or get more info about it by using the form on OFMA's website for joining boards or committees, or you can just email me. I can give you more information about the committee and what we do, and a link to our application. Hope to hear from some of you. Thanks.
Thanks, Amanda. Do we have a membership update from Alice?
We don't have a slide.
Not a slide.
Have an update. Hello, everyone. I am also the current chair of the membership committee, and we are the ones who orchestrate the membership outreach drive that you all got calls from this spring. So one of the major things that we do is to make sure that our markets have a contact at the OFMA board and staff, and make sure that we are putting a face to the name of OFMA in our work. We also participate, we morph into the Farmers Market Week Committee during the summer to help bolster the efforts of staff to promote and celebrate all of the work that you're doing around the state during Farmers Market Week in August. And we are also the home of conversations around membership definitions and benefits. So something that we have been talking about throughout the pandemic is discussing what our programming does for farmers markets and who we best serve in order to create a more comprehensive definition of a farmers market. So if that's a conversation that you're interested in joining in on, we are accepting new members to the membership committee. And if there's enough interest, we are interested in having a member focus group or roundtable discussion around that topic in the future as well. So please do reach out to me through the email address that I shared in the presentation, alice@friendsofamilyfarmers.org, and we will get you set up for our monthly meetings. And membership committee isn't anything without members. So we welcome your input and support. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you, committee folks. I want to point out too that all of our committees are interested in new members and folks who have energy for those topics. And you don't have to be a board member to join a committee. In fact, it's a really great way to kind of get a taste of what it's like being on the behind the scenes stuff of OFMA, and then potentially join the board later or not. We are recruiting for more board members, which brings me to the next very businessy business part of our meeting, which is our board elections. So for folks who might be new to OFMA, the way folks come onto our board is they can come on kind of any time during the year and start volunteering and attending meetings. And then every year at our annual meeting, we officially vote on voting them in. So there's one member who has been volunteering for a while with us, but this is the first annual meeting that we will be voting them in. We have 3 folks who are up for either election or re-election. So first we have Alice, who you heard from multiple times already. So Alice completed one shift of OFMA and is up for re-election for another. And then Rachel Pettit, who is not on this call currently, but is very active in food systems on the coast, who also is up for re-election, so has been a board member for one full term and is up for re-election. And then Tara, who you heard from on the policy committee, who is a farmer in the Portland area and also manages a market in the Portland area. And then on the slide, you'll see our present slate of officers. So president is me, vice president, Rachel Ward, secretary is Alice, and treasurer is Ari. So there's a couple ways we've done this in the past. I wanna point out that with voting these folks in, we still have several seats open on the board. So there's not like anyone we have to kick out or anything like that to make space. And one way we have done this is voting folks in as a full slate. If Bill is on the call.
Yeah, I'm here. I can go ahead and make a motion that the body accepts the slate of board candidates as by unanimous consent. That way, we accept those that have already asked to serve. But we need a second.
Anyone second? So second voting in this group of officers and new members as a whole slate.
I second. Melissa Hassert, I'll second it.
Okay, Melissa Hassert seconds. And
From
so,
Tuesday downtown, if you need to know that part.
Thank you.
Could I ask a clarifying question?
Yes,
Rebecca. The slate that the motion refers to is not the 4 officers, is it? Or is it some of them?
It is the 3 folks, 2 who are up for re-election, 1 who's up for election, and then accepting that these are our officers going forward, continuing.
So the officers are not elected by the board directly? That's
a great question. Sorry, we don't actually need to vote that those are the 4.
Okay, I haven't seen the current bylaw, so I don't know, but it struck me that was possible.
No.
So could you just repeat the names of the people we actually are voting on, and then they'll be happy and shut up.
Thank you, Rebecca. And Alice put them in the chat also. So we are voting in Alice Morrison, Rachel Pettit for re-election, and Tara Violetta for first-time election. And Bill set forth the motion, and Melissa Hassert seconded. And with that, I put that up. All those in favor, if you could say aye or give me a thumbs up if you don't want to unmute.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. And anyone who's not in favor can give me a thumbs down or private message me or message me to the chat. Okay. So with that, those folks are voted in. Thank you. There is a part of our bylaws that we set where we have to have a certain quorum from this meeting. So it will depend a little bit on if a ton of members have signed up in the last day. We'll see if this is enough for quorum. And if not, we are able to just send out an email to any members who weren't present. But if this is quorum, then that vote stands. So thank you all. And with that, a very fun part of our annual meeting, our annual awards. And I will hand it over to Rachel.
Everybody, thanks, Anna. I'm Rachel Ward. I'm the vice president of OFMA's board, and I get the fun job of explaining our awards this year. So we're going to start with the 2021, outstanding small market, and that would be Philamath Farmers Market. So Philamath Farmers Market, I'm going to read you the nominations as well, because there were just such lovely things that were written about people. And winners of these awards are going to receive a little virtual badge that you can use in your marketing for your farmers market. So Madeline will be sending that out to you afterwards. But the Philamath Farmers Market served as a incubator for the smallest of farmers. It started as a little CSA in 2018, grew to a 10-week pilot in 2020, and ran 16 weeks in 2021. It's now headed into a 20-week season, so it just keeps growing. Sorry, I'm pronouncing horrible. I'm Philamath. Philamath?
No.
Someone help me out.
Philamath.
Philamath. Thank you. I even Googled how to pronounce it and they were wrong. So blame them. I'm showing my non-native Oregonian side, y'all. Be gracious with me. So let's see. So the market is growing and growing. Folks come to the market and try their hands at local trade. The market also serves a town without a grocery store. So it's critical to our community's way of life. Philamath Farmers Market reaches out to those less fortunate, integrating SNAP as of 2021. And as we approach 2022, the market is growing strong and cultivating a healthy community. So congratulations to Philamath Farmers Market for the Small Market of the Year. Next up is our 2021 Outstanding Large Market, and that would be the Umpqua Valley Farmers Market. This market has an incredible selection of not only food, but gifts and household items that are made with love and care by members of their community. Everyone is so kind to each other. They have lots of fun activities for kids. Children are welcome and encouraged to try new things. It has become a place for several family members to look forward to going to every Saturday, rain or shine. And one of the nominators said it's all about community. Vendors take care of customers, customers take care of vendors, and everyone takes care of each other. So congratulations to Umpqua Valley Farmers Market for the Outstanding Large Market of the Year. And thanks y'all for chiming in the chat. It's not the same when we can't clap when we're in person, but we're sending virtual claps for each market. Next up is the Rural Farmers Market of the Year, and this goes to the Canyonville Farmers Market. The communities that are served by the market have a lot of low-income families and elderly customers, so the Double Up Food Bucks program is a real benefit. Having this market also provides opportunities closer to home/farm for small producers to sell directly to customers. And it's a great opportunity for listening to live music and socializing, which is hard to come by in their small community. Another nighter also said they have an amazing manager who has built up this little market from a handful of vendors to a diverse array of multiple vendors, live music every week, food hero programs for kids, snap matching program, giveaways that feature vendors and ready to eat food. They have had many roadblocks to overcome, from recruiting vendors to finding and paying a market manager. And we know that's such a huge portion of what makes a market successful. And perhaps the biggest roadblock of all was changing the public's perception of farmers markets from fancy, expensive markets to accessible places that anyone can shop. So congratulations to Canyonville Farmers Market for the Rural Market of the Year. And then the last market award I have to give away is the Urban Market of the Year, and this goes to the Lane County Farmers Market. So Lane County Farmers Market is one of the largest markets in the state. This year they navigated a move to a new location while they waited for a permanent covered structure for the market to be built, which is in progress and happening this year. That took a lot of logistical planning and communications, since we're pretty sure the market hasn't moved very far at all in the close to 100 years that they've been around. And LCFM boasts a very large and robust Double Up Food Bucks program as well. This year they saw an increase in utilization of that program as they processed thousands of SNAP dollars each market. And they've done so much to make this a marketplace where vendors can make a livable wage and where the community can show their support of local food. So congratulations to Lane County Farmers Market for the Urban Market of the Year. And then the last award that I have to give away, and then I'm going to turn it over to Anna to do our Volunteer of the Year award. But I get the pleasure of awarding our Perennial Achievement Award. Those of you who have been with us for a couple of years have seen this award be given away to several folks who have been working farmers markets for years and have retired or moved on from their positions. And this award is really for someone who has transformed the farmers market community over the course of their career, especially if they're looking to retire or transition out of that work. So this year's award is Claire Skeckman, and I've invited her to be on the call today. I want to read her nomination to you all. So Claire is one of the founders of the Whitaker Community Market in Eugene. Up until this year, she's served as their intrepid market manager. She recently gave up her seat as market manager in an acknowledgement of the growth of the market and the interest to get a new perspective in a position of leadership. And that's a really hard thing to recognize, especially as a relatively young professional. But it's so representative of the way that Claire has approached the market and her job. She was constantly going above and beyond to promote vendors at the market, especially new small businesses and businesses run by people of color. During her time as market manager, she organized online auctions, plant sales, winter holiday markets, a robust and growing Double Up Food Bucks program, and so much more. Claire is always doing something to highlight her vendors, especially those that are just starting off or new to the market. Her management style was focused on building partnerships in the community and constant self-reflection with a desire to grow. Because of her leadership, the market has hosted more vendors of color than anywhere else in Lane County, and she has created opportunities to specifically draw in and engage community members that have traditionally been excluded from farmers markets, especially BIPOC folks. And her retirement from the position is a sad moment for the community, but we look forward to it working with Saoirse as the new market manager of the community, of the Whitaker Community Market. So congratulations, Claire. And I'm going to pass it over to Anna to do our Volunteer of the Year award.
Thanks, Rachel. So OFMA, while we have 3 amazing staff, a lot of what we do is by volunteers, both on our board, on our committees, and other folks who help out as needed. We appreciate everyone so much, and we want to recognize one particular volunteer who this year has really stood out, and that is Alice Morrison. Yay, Alice. Alice has been the fearless leader of the membership committee and secretary of the board for a few years now, and she put so much of her heart and soul into OFMA. Despite going through lots of life changes and moving and things this year, Alice has remained committed to OFMA and willing to ask for help when needed, and just an overall stellar human. Alice holds herself to very high standards, and the number of times she said, "I think I dropped the ball on this," when really she was knocking it out of the park, is just amazing. She brings such a valuable perspective to OFMA, and Alice, you are so appreciated. We appreciate and love you. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you all. That wraps up our business meeting, and it's so good to see you. I wish it were in person, and I can't wait until the next time that we are able to do that and chat and hang out and be a little more relaxed. But we really appreciate you all being on this call. As a reminder, you can always reach out. Contact information will be on the next slide. But to kind of wrap us up, we wanted folks to share on a count of 3 in the chat, one word to describe how you feel about the upcoming season as we get into the thick of it. So 1, 2, 3. Hopeful, 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 pumped, excited, strong, biggest season ever. Woohoo! Yes, 40th anniversary. Yeah, get those exclamation points in there. Energized, amazing, optimistic, 30th anniversary. Wonderful. Well, thank you all. Keep sharing in the chat if you like. The contact information is up on the screen, so we will leave things kind of up for a few minutes as people make their way out or chat or anything you need to do. We're wrapping up just a couple minutes early. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you. And if folks want to take themselves off mute and do an actual round of applause, I know I would appreciate that. So feel free to unmute yourself and let's do a big round of applause.
That was well done.
Everyone have a great season.
Anna.
Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. What a great team.